Hello guys, Hikiami Moriko desu, and welcome to another indie game. This one's called Midnight Demo. Let's start the game. So, a chill breeze brushed past on my arms, swirling around me before... Oh, the music is kinda loud. Reckoning, I shouldered my tote bag, a pastel blue bag with Sanrio characters and pins adorning it, and gripped the handle to my suitcase tighter. Just gonna... Yes, that's better. The house was big, and I felt dwarfed by it, the Gothic architecture matching the owners of the house perfectly. I snorted. Of course the Drake family will own a Victorian estate with black gilded roofing and a dark dual red paint job. Of course. So, it kinda starts just... It just starts, it's kinda weird. It was situated in a more remote portion of Hale, England, placed in a patching of large trees, some growing taller than the house itself. The Goldstone well will reach out. I didn't find the street as it was pushed further away, hidden by the congruent trees. I looked behind me to marvel at it before facing toward again. A quaint lounge chair was the only furniture set at the front, which was odd to me surely because they had enough money to have a whole gazebo if they really wanted. Maybe it was in the backyard. Maybe. It was when the sun was completely eclipsed by the tower that I realized how long it has been standing there, staring over the house like it was my mortal enemy or my best friend. Shaking my head, I started walking down the path, anxiety bubbling up with each step I took. Will she like me in person as much as she liked me online? The steps were old and creaky, like the estate had been here much longer than the owner, but I held my weight as I ascended them. Then I was in front of the door, as large and imposing as the house itself, cherry wood with flagging gold painted accents. The doorknob, lock, and knocker were all the same shade of gold. Oh nice, it has multiple sigils, that's cool. Letting go of my suitcase, I reached my hand out preparing to lift the knocker and make my presence known. Then, the door slapped my hand forcefully. What? Drawing a yell from my throat as I turned my arm back to my body. The doorway chimed, "Ball," before embracing me in a rib-crushing hug. What the... Oh my god, what? As I inhaled the scent of some herb I couldn't place, and my vision was encompassing in black, I realized that the door wasn't what was hugging me. It was Persephone Drake, my best friend of 6 years, who I only ever met online and in video chats. I smirked into her chest. Gods, she was tall, and curled my hands up. Percy, can't breath. Ball? My name is Ball, I guess, the name of the character as well. Immediately, I was released and held at arm's length. Percy. Oh, sorry. You're so short, look at you. I'm just so happy to finally be able to meet you in person. I forced a pout onto my face. I really had to crane my neck to stare at her in the eyes. I'm not short. You're just really tall. Yeah, you're taller than the door. Yes. It was then that I looked down for the first time, noticing the black 4-inch heels on her feet, and I felt betrayed by footwear. And you're wearing heels. Hey, that's cheating. Percy patted my cheek with one hand before removing her touch from me, which I definitely didn't immediately miss. Oh, shush. Stepping around me, her traitorous heels clicking against the wood, she grabbed the extended handle on my suitcase. I'll help you with your stuff. I followed after her with a stupid grin on my face, already enjoying my summer stay with Percy. Once the door closed behind me, I noticed how it was already warmer inside the house. They must have a seriously good central heating. Yeah, maybe that's it. So Percy, what do you get up into in your spare time? We step up the stairs to the second floor. Smart way to start a conversation, Ball. Thank you, Ball. This is a nice banter. She chuckled, the sound pleasant and bright like wind chimes. Great way to start a conversation. Ask me something you already know. That was probably the realest thing Percy was capable of saying, and she reserved that kind of wordplay for me. Percy didn't really feel comfortable speaking the way to other people, even if they deserve it. And I did already know the answer to my question. Blogging about witchcraft was her main hobby, as well as trying to write comprehensive guides on demonology and practical Satanism. As practical as Satanism could get, I suppose. It ran in her family, witchcraft did, and the renaissance of humans interacting with the ethereal sort that came about in the 80s only strengthened her family ties to it. They weren't always Satanists, but Percy told me her dad started the trend back up not long ago after her mother died due to cancer, never telling me how he started it back up. I nearly stumbled into Percy's bag while thinking, and I realized we were standing in an alcove next to the set of stairs. I like the background music, it's nice. It looked far more quiet on the inside than the tower had looked on the outside. The floors dark, the furniture darker, and the wallpaper a musty beige with intricate designs plastered all over. Nice setup. I slipped into one of the armchairs. There was that laugh again. Here, give me your bag. I can put your stuff in your room. I complied easily, handing her my tote bag and watching as she pulled the suitcase behind her. Walking back down the hall, we just come from an opening the door 2 doors down from me to the alcove. She was back fast, without saying a word. Percy sat in the chair across from me, a small coffee table separating us, and she crossed her legs. Oh, I can make a joke or stay silent. Let's save the game. Make a joke or stay silent. That's a hard choice. Well, we are friends, right? So I can make a joke. I felt flustered by the silence, so like I tended to do in such situations, I decided to make a joke. Floundering for a joke to make, I noticed that the way that Percy held her legs was showing off just a bit of her underwear. Maybe not a good thing to joke about. I didn't want to seem sound like some kind of creep. Well, even more of a creep than what Percy already knew of me. Yeah, what's the problem if you're friends, right? That shouldn't be a problem. It was less that I was creep and more I just like perverted things. I frowned before deciding to make a joke anyway. So, Percy, she looked over at me. You really are a god to the bone, aren't you? She blinked a few times as trying to register what I was talking about. Yeah, let's just save it here. Glancing around the room like the answer was somewhere other than on her person. Then she looked back toward me as if preparing to say something, yet the words died in her mouth. My stomach growled. A small tear escaped her, and she stood smoothing down the wrinkles in her dress. I'll go get us a snack, okay? You're alright with avocado sandwiches, yeah? I nodded, feeling myself flush. Was I really just starting a hill for the long way without saying anything? Of course I was. I don't know why I right-click. Percy left the room again, leaving me with my thoughts. The fire crackled to my right. I heard a bird chirp outside the window, but it sounded mocking me. Great job, Bal. You made things awkward. Shut up, Bal. Sadly, I shook my head, resting my elbow on the armrest, then resting my head in my hand. I scanned the room, scowling at the contents and myself. I didn't really understand all this satanism stuff, but I wanted to learn more. Seeing as I was in the niche course for crypto-human psychology in college, wow, that sounds like a really niche course if you ask me. My first year just passing and most of the class being taken online, I was not really very curious about anything preternatural. Whether that be between sort or ethereal sort. The course didn't cover the ethereal sort, seeing how different their culture was. I keep right clicking. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna save here. Their culture was from ours, even with the types of ethereal sort. It was hard to pin down what was normal for their psychology. Not to mention most of the time they avoided interaction with any sort in general, says Labi. My gaze fell on the bookshelf. Oh, in this book that says Demons and Their Legions? Yes. Showing myself out of my chair, I wandered over and looking at the neat labeling put on each shelf. The labeling was most certainly Percy's idea. Her dad wasn't near that in any way except his gardening. Beating the edge of my tongue, I trailed the titles of each book with a finger. It was mostly books on witchcraft, some written by Drake. Of course, her dad's first name was also Drake. Through the stenciling, Mary called him D. Drake. Most others were written by other famous witches. It was well to think that only a few decades ago stuff like this will be shoveled off as fantasy. Not that it was taken better by society, just because it was widely accepted as truth. My finger tapped on the beginning of the book at the end of the shelf. The label below it's called Demonology. The book itself was titled Demons and Their Legions. I keep right-clicking. Sorry, that's my fault. How succinct. I heard footsteps coming from the hallway and I looked back to see Percy carrying a tray of sandwiches and tea. The platter was silver. Something told me it was real silver. Smiling at her, she looked placed on her coffee table. I tapped the aforementioned book. So you really worship Satan, huh? She blinked her nose some, stepping close to me, see which book I was pointing toward. I won't say we worship him. She pulled the book off the shelf, disrupting the neat way the books were assembled with a tab against the cover of the book. A pentagram engraved in the layer covered she backed away. There's a difference between working with someone and worshipping them. So you don't sacrifice animals to raise the legions to do your bidding? Her eyes widened in disbelief, a weird smirk dancing around the corner of her lips. First of all, we can make anyone do our bidding. Secondly, that's an old practice. Some people still do it, of course, but as long as you know how to respect a demon, they will do anything. Come on, dog. Rash. Percy said the last words as though sometimes they steal something rash, but I ignore it. Correct yourself, tease her. Yeah, let's tease her, right? And define rash, my dear Persephone. She had me asked if the use of a full chosen name. She chuckled. She sure did that a lot in person. Flipping open the book to see in the random page, she examined the contents with a flippancy. I don't understand why this girl, Val, is acting like she doesn't know Persephone, but they've been friends for years, right? And even to video chats. Anyway, as if she wasn't holding guide to dangerous beings. I tried to look over the book's edge, but she held it away. Defeated, I stalked over to the food while she was busy doing. Whatever it was she was doing with that book, the corner of a sandwich found its way into my mouth, and I marveled at how plain it tasted. You know, I saw the wine in my mouth. I know what. We could summon someone if you want. Ruminating for a second, I shrugged. No, why would I want to summon someone the first night I'm here? Till the curious side of me screamed to agree to her offer. From what I heard of demons, they were rather tricky, so like humans yet so different. I suppose I was lucky she wasn't asking me to summon a fairy. Her lips pursed. Oh well. As she settled the book back into places, took a sip of tea, and it looked like it should almost exactly tea and not just sugar. The offer stands down. You change your mind. We both knew my mind was likely to change and choose a topic. Yeah, maybe if I get some kind of brain injury, we can pour blood on ourselves and call upon the High Lord Satan. I almost expected her to get offended. Instead, she came over and sweated my arm playfully, her grin in her eyes. Alas, she's like my humor in person. Good news. You're looking big for someone who confided that she wanted to summon Lucifer himself for the first time. And I click again. With a roll of my eyes, I push her back. We aren't going to ruin my first night here by summoning some netherworldly dickhead. Her hand retracted from me the other teacup she was about to sip from. Her face faced the epitome of incredulity, and then she barked louder, raising her hand to her mouth, a speech. Casually, I took a whole swig from my cup, nearly draining the whole contents as I watched her compose herself. Gods! When we do summon someone, we meant to duct tape your mouth shut. Browse for when I replied the only sentence that came to my mind. Yeah, you like that, won't you, wizard woman? Yeah, something I noticed, there's a lot of explaining of the characters, but we can see them, right? Yeah. Like, I was frowning, and there's not necessity to explain all that if we can see the character portraits, right? They're really well done, and they express properly what the character is feeling. So there's no need to describe it with text and make it longer, right? Because the characters say one line like this. Yeah, you like the one that was a woman, and then her latte echo off the walls. Somehow I ended up sleeping in her room instead of my guest room just next to it. And by sleeping, I mean just staring over the red ceiling with the stairs and gently breathing next to me. Even her sleep was grateful, and there's a lot of narration, and that's not as interesting as hearing these characters talk, right? The characters are really neat, and they talk much less than the narration, and I personally don't like that, but the game is good so far. Shifting onto my side, I examined her room's bag and drink nothing, just a straight look. I wonder if she cleaned up from my arrival, or she was giving it. Yeah, the things are over-explained. There's no need to know this much about every little thing that Val is thinking. It just makes it so long, and it kinda gets boring after a while. Only a pad of paper and her text was down there, and well, Arban sat next to her lamp. Yeah, like that. There's no need to explain it if you can just show it on the background, right? There's no need to explain all of this. The only real sign that she lived here was the posters on the walls, as well as a large pride flag painted on behind sitting right in the corner. I already knew she was a lesbian, so that didn't interest me much. Yeah, there's no need to explain all of this. Well, maybe this needs to be explained, right? But I already knew. Yeah, she already knew. Then what's the point of saying it? Yeah, you show me the pride flag that's here, right? Yeah, there's no need to say it. We can see it. Maybe put it here instead, more to the left, so we can see it better. Yeah, there's too much explanation. That's my problem so far. Then I curiously picked my instance and remembered the books in the sitting just from the hell on the altar. In hindsight, the decision I was about to make was my first mistake. Carefully standing from the bed, throwing a curious glance back at Percy, I walked to the door. Yeah, and I don't know, maybe that's just me, but there's so much unnecessary words in this. I heard the shifting of fabric behind me, so I stopped and looked over my shoulder, only to say in relief she was still asleep. Grasping the door handle, I pulled the door open with haste. Yeah, I pulled the door open. Yeah, that's enough. Slinking through the crack, forgetting to close the door behind me. Yeah, maybe in a book this will be really nice, but in a visual novel, you can just... Well, of course you can do this, right? Maybe it's my personal preference, and I'm not saying there's something wrong with this game, but it's getting boring because there's too much to read and so little is happening. I did over toward the cove at the end of the hall, getting raising me. I'm lost of too much curiosity and too little pause. In quicker strides, I made it to the bookshelf, studying the very book we gazed upon on the shelf. I sat on the floor in the front. I really like this. There's a lot of CGs and they're really well done, so there's no need to explain every little thing that we can see already, right? The flames long since existing, it was dark. Yeah, it was dark. We can see it's dark. There's no need to say it. But I didn't dare to turn off the light. Looking to my lap where the book sat, I pried the pages up and landing on a random page. A quick scan revealed the page wasn't to be a lesser demon in a demon called Rome's Legions, a right-hand man of swords. The description didn't much interest me, so I flicked back some of the female demon question. In neat, well-typed words, it interested Rome. So it's a crow. Rome is a great Earl of Hell. Placed over 30 legions, often found to be charming and convincing. He takes what he pleases before a summoner can refute. Rome is well respected among other demons, despite being lesser known and less up to responding to summons. He kept some. By the way, what kind of people just barge into... Even if she's your friend, you can just go and take stuff when they are sleeping. That's not nice. In an interesting turn, he preferred to answer the young children's summons, appearing before them as a crow and quickly making deals with them. Among abilities, Ram is a proficient with temporal knowledge, knowing a great deal about past, present, and future. He is also well versed in matters pertaining to love. That was the end of the passage. An illustration took up the rest of the page, simply one depicting a crow with more than 2 eyes. Yeah, I can only see one pair of eyes. I took him over, reflecting on his abilities. Should I summon him? The last sentence took it at my desires, and I wondered if he could help me somehow. But wouldn't that be... Valerie Nevea Campbell. Jolting and slamming the bookshelf, I walked behind to see Percy at the mouth of the hallway, a stern expression full of frowning lips and furrowed brows and braiding hair. She stumped over, leading and snatching the book away from me. Yeah, like this, we can see her, right? We can see, there's no need to say all that. What on the green earth were you just doing? Dumbfounded, I opened and closed my mouth, wondering how to answer eloquently. Well, you see, the thing is, Percy... She shook her head and instantly looked away. Please tell me you weren't thinking of summoning someone by yourself. Unfortunately, that's exactly what was happening. One exasperated sight later, and Percy was dragging me to my feet. Haven't I told you how dangerous that is? The other stories I spun? Even as she reprimanded me, she began to spread a soft smile, almost like she expected this. Oh, come on, Percy. I have hoped people wouldn't ignore your warnings like that. Before she could respond, we heard shuffling up from the stairs. The footsteps stopped and we glanced at each other as Percy's smile turned thin. She walked over to the bookshelf and replaced the book before grabbing my hand, and all but yanking me along back to her bedroom. We are going to sleep. Will someone run away in the morning? Run away? The name didn't ring any bells. I probably called him Ben to you. Oh, your patron. I suddenly recalled the few and far-reaching conversations we had about her relationship with that particular demon. Outside of Lucifer himself, who was often too busy to respond to summons, Ben, Ronald, almost always popped to taking personal offerings. Yeah. We entered her room. No, I'm gonna have to tie a veil around your neck, am I? I produced a purring noise, drawing a very good one. Meow. Percy looked back at me as she slid into her bed. Good cat. That was all she said before laying her onto the pillow. Drake set the tray down on the coffee table, his green eyes roving over his daughter, who was quietly setting up the summoning circle. Wait, this is in the morning? That's a weird... Yeah, it has some weird transitions. Starting from the beginning, it just starts just like this. There's no... In this world of something not... It just starts like this. And that's not good for world building, right? The stuff smell of pancakes and syrup wafted towards me, and I eagerly grabbed a plate from the large platter grinning down at the food with a new reverence, feeling oddly at home in that moment. Thank you, Dad. Starting, Drake looked over at me. Me sat on one of the side chairs. What? Before shedding a toothy grin. D. You don't have to call me Dad, Valerie. I already told you. Whatever you say, Dad. He sighed heavily before taking his own place to couch behind the table. First of all, please eat something before continuing. You know summoning can take a lot of you. With a huff, Percy put down the salt container next to the last line. She turned on the intricate symbol she was marking on the hardwood. Not speaking words, she picked up a plate herself and quickly devoured the entire of 3 large pancakes in what surely only a minute. She slammed the plate back on the tray before continuing her salt drawing. Despite her rogue actions, I sensed no animosity from her. What's on your... Percy halted back, stiffening, and she looked back at me with a smile on her face. The way it felt a little forced, yet she still didn't quite seem mad. It's nothing, Val. She finished the last line of the circle, standing up from her crouch, posed over the floor. Next, she mumbled something while pointing her face to the floor. And from the way her move moved, I could tell her words had something to do with something doesn't feel right. I'm from, but I didn't push her to explain, instead opting to finish off my plate. It was Drake's turn to finish off her preparations, according to the two of them. Ben had decided to run over to fancy a name to care about, preferred to be someone in the day, so we started putting everything together the moment I woke up. I still felt a tad groggy, but the food helped me wake up. Drake was setting a few white candles around the circle, lighting them as we went. This all felt really normal, just an average day in this household. I continued to feel the same amount of nearly normal until Drake walked over to the tray, picked up a cup of coffee, and set the mug in the center of the circle. Wait, why are we putting coffee in the circle? He likes coffee. Yeah, 'cause that's normal. Hopefully not the way you make it. Excuse me? You put a lot of sugar in things, Percy. She sniffed. It's good that way. Girls, we're ready to start. I took the look he gave me as the same I love showing off my ego to others. I clapped. Alright, let's see this. Percy shook her head with a chuckle before signaling to Drake that they were ready to go. A nod later, and Drake suddenly dropped to his knees, his hands coming together in praying motion, and then he was chanting a language I didn't know. Peeking over at Percy, I muttered a question. She shook her head and put a finger to her lips before looking back to her dad. It was then that I felt the weird feeling Percy must have felt because I had a strange pull in my gut, like the feeling of standing over a windowed floor, stories about the ground level. Oh yeah, I know that feel. That knowledge that you were safe, for now, but only cataclysmic event will spell the end of you. Any smart quips I could make, I'm gonna sing again. Died as a dust fire in my throat. Then the colored lights went out. Ooh, the music went out. Oh my god. Oh my god, the only thing that was playing in the room was the outside, the morning sun shining through the long windows on one of the 4 walls. I could scream a sharp humming vibrated through my skull, and I was no longer tired. Instead, acutely aware of everything that was happening. As glancing at Percy, I know that she seemed totally calm. Wait, no. Her eyes were mingled with something primal danced behind her, like she herself was doubting what was transpiring. Then the humming stopped. I looked over to the circle to see nothing. Slowly a hand whispered into existence in the air above the circle. Right before my eyes, a whole person stepped out of the rift in thin fucking air, and stood proudly before us. I'm not a fan of this language. His foot narrowly missed the mug of coffee, now situated on his 2 legs. Laying down, he swept the coffee off the floor, messy ginger spreading around, strands flicking and fluttering. He stepped back up the full height. He was just below Drake's height and quickly rolling the whole mug. A lazy grin as he finished drying the liquid, bright blue eyes twinkling with a mischievous light. With one sentence, I felt at ease. And this is Ben. Hey, Drakes. How is the hands like? Her hands look weird. How have my favorite summoners been? His accent sounded American, perhaps SoCal. Alright, that's kinda weird. Percy opened her mouth as if to answer. Then Benson's looked on me. Oh, Valerie Campbell, sweetheart. Percy told me all about you. So I guess this is a good moment to stop playing, because it's like the most exciting moment of the whole game. I mean, I'm gonna stop so you guys can go ahead and play it for yourselves, right? If I finish the game, what's the point of you guys playing it, right? So I'm gonna stop here. If you want to download the game, the link will be down in the description. Go ahead and play it for yourself and see if you like it. I personally didn't enjoy the game a lot because of the writing, and I think that's a personal preference, because it's well done, right? But I don't like it. It's not my type of visual novel. But the game is it's well written to start. The illustrations are nice. There's a lot of CGs, and most games don't even bother with that much CGs, so that's really cool. The characters are interesting. So yeah, the only thing I didn't really like was all the explaining of stuff that's happening. Like, I pick up the cup of coffee, and the coffee was hot, and it smelled like this. And there's a lot of explanations, and that's nice in a book, in a regular novel. But in a visual novel, you don't have to explain things that much. It becomes boring because you can see the stuff. You don't have to explain things. You can see, like the characters and what they're doing. And if you have to do it in a short way, right? Because a visual novel, it's a game, and it needs to be interesting every moment of the whole game, right? That's something really hard to do, and I think this game, it's kinda all over the place because it starts right away, right? And there's no explanation of anything at the beginning of the game, and then it starts explaining the whole world to you, and that's nice. But since the world is being explained to you as you play, it kind of hinders the whole story, right? You can just read it fast to say something. So maybe a little explanation of all this witchcraft and the family and your relationship with the girl of Baal and Persephone at the beginning, in a short like introduction, and then you can start the interaction with the characters. That would be better than explaining every step of the game, right? So that's just something I prefer. I'm not saying that the game is bad or wrong, but I think that it can be improved, right? So even if it can be improved, it's a really good game. So I recommend you guys go and play it to see what happens next. I'm gonna finish playing it by myself because I want to know what happens with this demon. And I will see you guys in the next game. Goodbye.